Ladies and gentlemen, what Trump is doing with crime in our major cities is going to be one of the things that defines his legacy as a US president. You see, throughout history, US presidents, in my opinion at least, fall into three different categories. You have your generic Republican presidents, your generic Democrat presidents, and then you have your transformational presidents. The transformational leaders would be the ones on Mount Rushmore. And it's clear that Trump wants to be the fifth face on Rushmore. Washington, Jefferson, Roosevelt, and Abraham Lincoln. Trump wants to be up there. Your generic Republican presidents do what generic Republican presidents do. They get involved in some wars. They do a little bit to solve crime. They reduce corporate tax rates to stimulate the economy. They run the deficit up just like Democrats, like a George Bush or George Bush Sr. or, in my opinion, Ronald Reagan. You know, very generic in general. And then your Democrats increase the size and scope of the federal government. They run up the deficit even more than a generic Republican president would. They're pretty forgettable. Trump wants to be different. And his work in combating crime in these major cities could be that massive difference maker. It's not going to be the big, beautiful bill that does it. Certainly, previous presidents have cut taxes before. It's going to be his work in making people's quality of life drastically improve. And crime is one of the easiest for people to reconcile. People can understand, oh, I'm safer than I was before. And in Memphis, Tennessee, people were feeling safer. In fact, we did a video last week or a couple days ago about what was going on in Memphis. At the time, they made close to 600 arrests. And now that number has crossed 1,300. The Trump Memphis Safe Task Force, I repeat, has made over 1,000 arrests, 1,309 to be exact, as of 2 days ago. So the number might be 1,500 now. That is insane. These guys started the operation last month. So it's been, like 4 weeks? And 1,309 arrests made as of 2 days ago? They also arrested 9 people for homicide. Murderers are off the streets. 52 arrests for sex offenses. That's insane. 527 for warrants. And 132 for firearm offenses. They have taken illegal firearms off the streets. Now, the Second Amendment absolutists are going to come at me and say, you should support everyone's right to own a gun. I don't support criminals' rights to own guns. They don't have rights. I think when you commit a crime, you forfeit that right. Memphis was one of the most dangerous cities in the country. 40 homicides per 100,000 people last year. I wonder what that number is going to be by the end of this year. It should have improved for sure. And I'm going to show you a video of local Democrats actually celebrating and giving Trump credit for doing the right thing here. I also talked about how they found close to 50 missing children a week ago. Well, that number is now 70. 70 missing children. So they found an additional 20 children. That number could be higher because, again, this story is about 24 hours or so old. The news is moving fast, ladies and gentlemen. This is Antonio Parkinson. He is a Democrat out in Memphis, and he did an interview just expressing what was going on the ground. I think actually breaking from his party's position, the official Democrat platform on the National Guard and the safe task force that Trump is using to safeguard these cities is that it's going to be bad for the communities, that Trump is setting the National Guard to strip people's liberties away. That's the narrative. But you have Democrats like this guy just saying it as it is.
Talked to a couple of them, and I was telling them about some of the job opportunities we had, with Memphis Police Department. They're from other small towns in some cases, and some of them were going to apply for some of these jobs, man. You know, they was like, I like it here.
Yeah.
Right. You know, the food is good. You know, you know, they were enjoying themselves. This was downtown, right? And they said, you know, shoot. I said, y'all. Some of them had already said, you know, I've already been thinking about applying for jobs here.
Wow.
And so, wouldn't that be a spin on the story, right?
So he's saying that some of the Memphis or the National Guardsmen in Memphis have expressed interest in applying to work in the city and make a difference permanently. I think that's actually very good. The Memphis Police Department is one of the police departments that received a lot of hate and controversial defund the police efforts from BLM. So they defunded, and now a bunch of officers probably left, and they have a lack of staff, so they can't respond to emergencies, which means higher crime rates. And he's saying that the National Guardsmen, some of them that Trump sent over, are interested in staying and applying to the police department. I think if that isn't, you know, a signal that this has worked, I don't know what is. I don't know what is. Okay. He also admitted that things are different in Memphis, Tennessee. People are acting different. Lives have been improved by this task force presence.
Yeah.
So what's your overall take, though, on the Memphis Safe Task Force? Because some are, of course, are touting, saying the crime numbers are really dropping down. Other folks are saying, well, I think they were already dropping before they got here. How do you see it, Representative?
Yeah, you know, they were already dropping before they got here, and apparently they're dropping more. You know, you can't argue that. I mean, you know, you can see behavioral differences, you know, in our communities. You know, people are rushing out to get their tags now, right? You know, you can switch lanes without a fin almost knocking you off the freeway, you know, zipping past you at 1,000 miles per hour. There are behavioral differences that are happening, and it's evident.
Wow. Fen, what he's referring to, I guess, are like, you know, criminals, thugs, hoodlums. That's awesome. I mean, the presence of police is always a deterrent. So just having more of them makes people act right. You know, everyone slows down on the highway when they see a cop coming or they see a cop nearby. It's just human nature. It's like, hey, there's someone to enforce this rule and I'm going to abide by it. I think it's really awesome that he's talking about it like this. You know, most Democrats would just, you know, insult the Trump administration, talk about how, you know, he's stripping rights away. And, you know, if there's a community of people that should celebrate the National Guard's presence, celebrate the FBI, ATF, DEA, IRS, like all these agencies creating this task force, it's the black community. They should be the ones celebrating the loudest because they have been ignored by their Democrat leadership, which they vote for. It's no one else's fault but the black community's fault that the black community is the way it is. The moment black people realize that having safe streets is not some luxury that is only given to the suburbs, it's something they can have if they just vote for the right people. Democrats can never win another election. That's a very important point. And the moment these incentives, you know, are removed for bad behavior in the black adolescent youth, you're going to see Democrats lose their base. The moment black people are not thinking as victims constantly, perpetual victims, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with as a voting bloc. You're talking about 13% of the U.S. population that will literally vote one way. Now imagine if they switch that up completely. Democrats can never win an election. Congress would be held by Republicans by 2/3. Well, maybe not 2/3, because white liberals will still vote Democrat. But look, I'm just really excited that the cities that have been called dangerous are being taken care of. I think Trump should have done this in his first term, but I don't think he had the political clout to pull it off. But now he has the know-how and also the clout. People like him. You know, even people that hate him, they they're used to him. So they're, nothing shocking. They're used to him doing crazy things, outlandish things. So to them, this is just one of those things. But it's actually working to our benefit because he's changing the country with it. So I'm going to keep you guys updated because I'm actually really interested in this story specifically because what happens in Memphis could set the precedent for other cities. I want to give credit to the mayor as well. He's a Democrat, but he, accepted the National Guard's presence. And the governor of Tennessee also accepted the National Guard's presence because it's easy to just get an ego and not want your city to become like, a testing ground for something different like this. But they actually put aside their ego and their political divisions, and they thought they were perspicacious enough to realize that this was a critical thing that needed to be done. So, yeah, thank you all very much for watching. God bless and goodbye. Okay.